How do I find a new job? How can I make a career change? And the biggest question of all, can I really find a career that I love? Hey, my name is Jen Smith, and I believe career success doesn't have to be at the expense of living a radiantly happy and healthy lifestyle. As a former HR leader and recruiter turned career coach, I get what companies are looking for when hiring top talent. What that means for you is an unmatched combination of insider knowledge and the best kept secrets about making heart-based career changes and navigating the ups and downs of job searching in today's world of work. Whether you're a recent graduate navigating the job market for the first time or a seasoned professional ready for a career change, this show is for you. So grab your coffee or your kombucha, pull up a seat, and get ready to be challenged and inspired to move beyond your self-doubt and take the right next steps towards landing a career you love. Because you deserve a long, radiantly happy and healthy career. This is the Flourish Careers Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Careers Podcast. I'm Jen Smith, your host, and we're talking about heart-based career goals in today's episode. So you're going to learn the science behind goal setting, what heart-based goal setting is. I'll share how to craft your heart-based goals using a 3-part framework, and then we'll wrap up with an example to bring it together for you. I wanted to start by just a quick clarification about goal setting and development planning. So they go hand in hand. Goal setting is determining the destination, while development planning is the roadmap that guides you toward that destination. So in today's episode, we're mainly going to focus on goal setting. When you combine goal setting and development planning, you'll have the power to create a heart-based career experience that is fulfilling and loaded with continuous growth and learning. So first, let's begin by reflecting on why this is important using one of my favorite fantasy novels, Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So imagine you're exploring the whimsical world of Alice in Wonderland. And who do you come across? The mischievous Cheshire Cat. And as you might know from the story, Alice first encounters the Cheshire Cat when she arrives at the Duchess's house and sees him sitting on the step, grinning from ear to ear, which you can probably picture that huge grin. And the Cheshire Cat immediately stands out due to his ability to appear and disappear whenever he wants. And sometimes he leaves behind nothing but that iconic grin. One of their most famous interactions happens when the Cheshire Cat delivers the line, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there." And of course, he's referring to the strange idea of the rabbit hole and Wonderland. So as you know, Alice follows the white rabbit and ends up in this utterly unpredictable world. She has no idea what's going to happen next, and she's just reacting to all the wildness around her. That's what the Cheshire Cat hinted at when he said, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there." It's like if you don't have a clear destination, you could end up anywhere. And in today's terms, we often talk about going down a rabbit hole, like when you start reading about something on the internet, and then you click on a link, and then another, and then another. And before you know it, you spent hours reading about something you didn't plan on and wondering how you got there. It's pretty much like Alice tumbling down that rabbit hole. So the Cheshire Cat's quote and the idea of a rabbit hole highlight the same thing. When you're unclear about your destination or your goal, it's easy to get sidetracked or lost. Whether that's tumbling through Wonderland or getting lost in the depths of the internet, it's a wild ride. Now, think about your career path like you're Alice in Wonderland. The Cheshire Cat's quote, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there," is like saying if you don't have clear career goals or a vision of what you want to achieve, you might end up going down any path that comes along without necessarily being the right fit for you, which is what happened to me throughout pretty much my entire career. So the rabbit hole, on the other hand, could represent getting lost in opportunities that might seem exciting or promising, but ultimately don't align with you and how you want to work in your career aspirations. So as a result, you could bounce around from job to job. You might learn a lot, but you're not really building towards a specific path. Or you might find yourself stuck in analysis paralysis without moving forward toward any direction. So in terms of career planning, these concepts remind us about the importance of making intentional decisions. It's about knowing where you want to go and choosing the right road to get you there rather than getting sidetracked down various rabbit holes of opportunity that may not serve your ultimate career path. Another parallel that I like to use here about having lack of direction in your career, it's kind of like going on vacation and not knowing if you're going to a cozy chalet in the mountains or to a tropical beach resort. So can you imagine packing all the things for both a trip to the mountains and a trip to the beach? That's a lot of time and energy wasted because you don't know where you're going. Not to mention, when you get in the car, you don't know which way to turn. Are you going left to the mountains or are you going right to the beach? So hopefully that paints a picture of why it's important to set career intentions. So now let's dig into the science behind goal setting. When it comes to the psychology behind goal setting, researchers have found that our brains are wired to seek out and achieve. So this is partly due to our brain's reward system. So as you might know, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter that is associated with motivation when we achieve a goal. So this internal reward system is reinforcing our behavior and making us more likely to pursue and achieve additional goals. So over time, our brain learns to associate goal achievement with the release of dopamine and those accompanied feelings of happiness and excitement when we achieve a goal. So in other words, the brain's reward system helps to create a positive feedback loop that motivates us to continue setting and achieving goals. So by setting challenging yet attainable goals and experiencing the positive feelings that come with achievement, we can build momentum and motivation towards even further success. So knowing the science helps reinforce why I like to create heart-based career goals each season, which I'll talk more about in a minute. So now that we have context about the importance of goal setting, here's a little background on why I love to talk about heart-based goal setting. So I remember going through the annual goal setting process in my 8-to-5 job. And frankly, it felt more like a check the box exercise, like I was going through the motions to draft these rigid SMART goals, sign a paper, and make sure that our forms were submitted in the system on time. We used to create these goals in January or February, drop them in our file online, and then expect to see change at the end of the year. I often felt, shouldn't this feel more motivating and energizing versus a check the box exercise? And I have to say, this is a lot coming from the HR girl who was leading the annual process. So now, as a career coach, the rigid SMART goal setting activity has been transformed into heart-based goal setting and planning. So each season, I spend time dreaming and scheming about the coming months, and then I break it down. So what do I want to accomplish this season? These are heart-centered ideas, meaning they align with my core and lifestyle values, and they generate excitement to move forward. From there, I really feel into the goal. So how am I going to know when they're achieved? How do I want to feel? And doing this helps bring the goals to fruition when you can picture yourself achieving them. And then finally, I break down my ideas into tiny action. I write them down, pen to paper, and then I get them on the calendar because it's much more likely to turn into reality when it's on the calendar. I'll give you a quick example here. My career change curriculum, or my course called Fried to Flourishing, is a good example. So I knew that I wanted to transfer my career change framework into an online platform, but it felt so big and daunting. How do I even get this information out of my head and onto paper? What systems do I use? How do I use language that's going to resonate with people? I had all these thoughts running through my head. So finally, I sat down and crafted a goal, and I gave myself a 6-month timeline. And then I felt into this. So how am I going to feel when this project is complete? I knew that I would feel so relieved and so happy knowing that my beloved clients had everything they needed at their fingertips instead of waiting for a call or a session to have a conversation or to provide guidance. They had everything at their fingertips and they didn't need me, and I wasn't going to be a blocker to their career change. So I ended up figuring out what I needed to learn and do. I bought a course on making courses. I reached out for help. I crafted a plan to do a little bit each day, added it to the calendar. 15 minutes a day is all I focused on. And guess what? It got done even before the 6-month mark. So I know firsthand that this works. So let's talk a little bit more about heart-based goal setting. So basically, it's a method and it has a super cute acronym that I'm going to walk you through, and then we'll talk more about it. So first is that your heart-based goals should be heart-centered. So H stands for heart-centered, meaning that your goals are personal, they align with you and the way that you want to be working and your core values. E stands for energizing, referring to goals that spark enthusiasm and motivate you to take action. A stands for agile, emphasizing the need for adaptable goals that can evolve with our ever-changing world of work. R stands for realistic, implying that the goals should be achievable. So not some pie-in-the-sky thing that's so far off you just get stuck thinking about it. We want them to be realistic and within a defined time frame. And then T stands for tiny action. I can't stress enough the importance of breaking down your goals into manageable steps to make the process less daunting and more achievable. So in essence, heart-based goals should resonate with you. They should energize you. They should be flexible and realistic and broken down into small, actionable steps. You should be able to feel and see your desired outcome. So heart-based goal setting isn't just a catchy phrase or a cute acronym. It's about ensuring your career path is in sync with who you are. So it's kind of like tuning your work into the same frequency as your heart and your spirit. And speaking of spirit, this isn't some far out mystical thing. It's about the real down-to-earth feeling of finding meaning and purpose in what you do. It's like making sure that your job lines up with your personal values and the kind of lifestyle you want to live. Heart-based goals are not about turning your hobby into a job or blindly following your passions. It's more about finding a company and a role and a way of working that feels good for you. When your career goals come from your heart, they reconnect you to what matters most and give you energy and help you move forward with purpose. So it's time to say goodbye to the old school way of setting goals. Instead, heart-based goal setting is here to shake things up and help us bring more of ourselves into our careers. So now we're going to reshape the goal setting process. At the core, goal setting ensures that you focus on the most critical areas to drive your personal and your career growth. So a heart-based goal is your vision that ties you back to your why and what matters most in your career right now. A lot of people mix up goals and strategy. So the goal is your vision and the strategy is the tactics to reach your goal. If you're going on vacation, the goal is the destination. So maybe you're going to that cozy chalet in the mountains. That's your goal. That's your destination. The strategy is the plan or the roadmap to get from home to relaxing in that chalet. So again, the goal is what you aim to achieve, while the strategy or your development plan is the approach you take to achieve it. If you mix these up, it can lead to confusion or inefficiency. And while goals are usually fixed for a particular period of time, strategies must be flexible and adaptable. So, for example, you need to adjust your plan as you progress toward your goal if you discover that certain strategies just aren't working as expected. Just like if you decide to drive to that cozy chalet for vacation and there's a detour due to road closures, you need to adjust your plan accordingly and take a different direction. This is a very normal part of the process, and it is an essential aspect of career planning and achievement. So heart-based goal setting is broken down into 3 parts. Part number 1 is defining your vision. So in career terms, this might be identifying the companies you aspire to work for, or different roles that you wish to undertake, or maybe a particular lifestyle that you want to live and bring your career into a new lifestyle. From there, you want to clarify your desired outcome. So how are you going to know that you've achieved your goal? And how is that going to make you feel? This is a differentiator. Visualize your success. What does it look like? How does it feel? This will help you achieve your career goals. And then lastly, write it down. Even in our digital age, writing down your goals are crucial for accountability and clarity. In fact, research shows us that individuals who can vividly describe their goals and write them down are 1.4 times more likely to achieve them, which we're going to talk more about that in the next episode. So in short, heart-based goal setting involves defining your career vision or your destination, understanding your desired outcome, how will you know when you reach your goals and how are you going to feel, and then writing them down will increase the likelihood of achieving them. Now, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the difference between long-term and short-term goals. The 2 types of goals can be used together to create a more effective goal-setting strategy. So short-term goals are typically smaller or more manageable, and they can be achieved relatively quickly. And you can determine this time frame for yourself. Maybe it's 3 to 6 months. Maybe it's 3 to 6 weeks, whatever you define as that short-term goal. Long-term goals are more substantial, and maybe they take a year or more to achieve. So short-term goals can provide the motivation and that sense of progress needed to achieve those longer-term goals. And you can stay motivated and focused on the overall goal by breaking down a longer-term goal into more short-term, tiny, achievable goals. Additionally, achieving short-term goals provides that sense of accomplishment and satisfaction, which is going to reinforce the behavior and increase motivation to continue pursuing those long-term goals. So by combining short-term and long-term goals, you can stay motivated and focused on track to achieve your desired outcome. Personally, I'm a big fan of seasonal goal setting, literally aligning with the seasons. And so in the working world, this is similar to quarterly strategic planning to make sure that you're on track. Aligning your intention setting with the seasons is rooted in the idea that our energy levels, focus, and interest can fluctuate throughout the year, just like the changing of seasons. So therefore, this approach encourages me to harness the unique energy of each season and then optimize my goals and achievement around the seasons. So planning and aligning your goals with the seasons can really just harness, nature's rhythms and support your goal setting process. You also might think of heart-based career planning and career goal setting in terms of this season of your career. So maybe you've had an adventurous travel job and you were gone 60% of the time, and now you want to be home with your little ones. Or maybe you're in a situation to care for a family member and you need to throttle back from the travel for a few years. So you can design your heart-based career goals in terms of what you have going on in this season of life. Remember, everybody is different. So what works for one person might not work for another. It's all about finding alignment in your career and using what resonates best with you and your own personal situation and rhythms. So let me share an example before we wrap up. So let's talk about one of my beloved career changers, Jacob. He was changing from the food and beverage industry into outdoor recreation. And he was changing from a quality technician into a team leadership type of a role. So he defined his heart-based career goal as a combination of his ideal companies and the role he wanted to do. So he wanted to pivot into a leadership role at one of his top 3 local outdoor recreation companies, either West Marine, Mongoose Bikes, or the National Parks Service. He gave himself a 6-month timeline and added dates to the calendar to hold himself accountable. From there, we talked about his desired outcome. So how will you know when you've met your goal? And he shared with me that he was going to be excited about contributing to a team that's supporting others and getting outside more often. He had this really innate goal, especially watching his kids behind computer screens so much, that he really wanted people to get outside more often. And so that was the premise behind this career change. He also felt like he would have autonomy to make decisions. He really wanted to be a mentor for others. So he had these strong feelings about this new role. And then finally, he wrote everything down. We met twice monthly to discuss and ensure he was on track. He used his heart-based career development planning, goal-setting worksheet and workbook, which I'll add to the show notes if you wanted it. And of course, part of his development plan that accompanies his goal is all the tiny actions to achieve his goal. And guess what? He is working in the outdoor recreation industry as we speak. So in summary, heart-based goal setting is a transformative approach that aligns your career with your values and your aspirations. It's not about turning your hobby into work, but about finding work that resonates with your spirit, bringing that sense of purpose and fulfillment. This approach is broken down into 3 steps: identifying your vision or your ideal role in companies, clarifying your desired outcome, visualizing what you want to achieve and what it feels like, writing down your goals for clarity and accountability. In essence, heart-based goal setting is about making your career a reflection of who you are and what you care about most this season of your career. It's a powerful tool to drive you forward with purpose and a sense of alignment. It's a new way of setting goals that invite us to bring more of ourselves into our careers and to find genuine fulfillment in our work. Remember the wise words of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Let's take control of our career paths, set intentions with our hearts, and choose the road leading us to our wonderland of career fulfillment. So that's a wrap for this week. Next week, I'll be back with an extension of goal setting, and this episode is going to be dedicated to visualization, which is a very impactful technique used along with heart-based goal setting and development planning. So I highly recommend that you tune in with me next week. And if you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, please consider recommending it to a friend. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next time.